everyone, and welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we're going to talk about data types and variables. But first, I would like you guys to see another example of JavaScript, like a website which is have a lot of JavaScript though, and how important is JavaScript for this website, okay? So the website is apple.com, and they just dropped the new iPhone 12. And I was looking at the website and I was like, oh my God, this is like a perfect example of, how JavaScript can be very useful. So if you click here and then you click the learn more, this is the website right now, right? So you see this. And by the way, I'm not trying to make like a commercial or something, but all right, here we go. And if I start scrolling down, look at the website, how it goes. You guys see this? Look how I feel like like I have the phone in my hand right now. So, if you start scrolling down and look at this, I'm coming back and I'm not sure if you guys see this space here. Do you see this? All right. And this is the more interesting part right here. Did you guys saw that? I'm going back. And the fact that, I'm coming like up and down, that this is not a video, by the way, okay? So I'm start scroll down, and look at all this. And this is the last thing that I'm gonna show because we have more stuff to do today. But look at this. If I start scrolling down slowly, you see all these things, how they come up together. So that's a lot of help of JavaScript right here. Only HTML and CSS will not be able to do all this thing right here. And this is the more cooling part right here. Look at this. So if you look at this, you feel like this is a video. Do you see that? But guess what? If I scroll up again, and then I come down, and then I just scroll down, look, it looked like a video. See that? But, so now what I'm going to do is, I am going to my settings on Chrome. You can just type the word Java to come up with JavaScript, and then you will click on JavaScript, and then I will disable JavaScript for every website. Not only this website, but for any website. What I'm going to do is, I'm gonna go ahead and going to apple.com again. And of course, I'm gonna go ahead and click learn more. And now look. See this? Especially this part right here. Do you remember this part? How was it? Look at this. Oh, no, I was talking about this part right here. Like it was like a gold, and then it was like black, and then like a little black here again. And you will see this one right now. Right there, boom. You remember this one? This was the more, well, I believe that this one was the one that you were like, okay, it'll definitely look like a video. But it is not a video. So as you can see, this is just like a kind of image, some kind of code right there. Of course, it's not an image though. You know what? Let's look at it and see what it is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go inspect element. All right, yep, so some like data, animate image. And then, yep, it is an image. As you can see, let me see if I can zoom in. Nope, I cannot. Anyway, so, but yeah, look, it's an image. It's a background image. And then you use JavaScript to make this thing, look pretty good. So this is why you need to learn JavaScript, because when you only know HTML and CSS, or your website are like simple. Yes, CSS3 allow you to do a lot of things, a lot of animation. It's not like you need to rely only on JavaScript, but we are not talking about CSS3 here. And there's not a big difference between your CSS and CSS3. It's just like you learn new things on it, okay? So you don't have to go crazy with that one. But knowing JavaScript is much better than, I'm not gonna say that knowing CSS3, but JavaScript can save you a lot of time doing more things. All right, so let's start with today's lesson. Let me just go back and allow JavaScript because I'm gonna use it today. And let me go ahead and just close this one right here. And of course, let's start again. So just remember that you need to go to the about, double column blank, just to have this blank page here. And once you just right click on do an inspect element, you will have the console right here. And of course, you can just type whatever you want. And this is going to be our JavaScript here in this part. We don't need Sublime for this because Chrome provides us this thing here and this console right here. But if we will not have this, then we will be like using Sublime to try what we're gonna do today. So data type and variables. So let me start with the data. So every time we're talking about data, today especially, people be like, okay, everything is about data. Every company they want to talk about, make your data safe. Everybody, on Facebook is your data out there. It's information about you, information about what do you like. So that data is stored somewhere, and then Facebook user to show you more relevant ads to your to your page, and all that stuff are data. So in programming language, it's all about manipulating data. All right. So for example, when we're talking about you running a program, and again, remember when we talk about that, comparing a programming language with HTML and why HTML, it is not a programming language. Yeah, a lot of people say yes, it is a programming language, but however you feel about it, but don't go to try to get a job thinking that if they tell you create a program to do this, don't think about HTML will save you, okay? So, manipulating data. And again, you just, programming language all about this so far. And data information is stored in our computer. Put computer twice, computer programs. And again, you tell the computer what to do. If you want the computer to do something, and another example was like Apple.com, like we will tell it, hey, when we were scrolling down, you need to do this, this, and this, and this. That was the program writing in JavaScript. All right. So let's keep going. And there are three basic types of data. We have numbers, we have strings, and we have Booleans. And of course, we all know that numbers are numbers. So numbers in JavaScript represent numbers. So in other words, if I'm here and I say, what is 1 plus 2? I mean plus 3. I mean plus, yeah, I put plus 2. Anyway, 1 plus 2 is 3. So this is number, and you can also do multiplication. 2 times 2 is 4. So you can even use this as a calculator, as you guys can see as well. So the strings. The string represent text. For example, my name is, which is between these quotes right here, is a string. We're going to talk about each one in a few minutes. But first, let's start with a little by little thing. So if, I have this, and of course, I'm not trying to do anything. My got an arrow now. So this is a string right here. All right. So whatever it is between this quote, it is a string. And also, of course, you can use single quote as well. Okay. So there you go. That's a string right there. And anyway, any characters, it doesn't have to be only number. It have to be only text, but it could be also number or any type of character. So you can also ask for the first 2 or 3 characters. All right, so we're gonna get to that later, but let's pass to the Booleans. The Booleans represent the values that can be true or false. All right, so just simple as this. If we have true, that's true. If we have false, that's false. Okay. So nothing big. These are three basic type of data and data type. We are going to go ahead and talk about numbers first. Then we're gonna go ahead and talk about strings in another lesson, and then Boolean, which is the yes, not because it's only true and false. Don't feel like it's super easy, but I guarantee you that you will definitely get this really fast. Like compared to this right now, to the numbers. So numbers and operators. So you can perform any basic math operations the way we did right now, like addition, subtraction, and multiplication, and of course division. And let me just put a comma right here that I missed that. And to do that, when we're doing some math in class, in like when you write it down on paper, we usually do multiplications using like an x to represent the multiply by. For example, if I do 2x 4, it looks like I'm trying to do 2 times 4, but that's an error right here. And the way do you do it, like the way you're supposed to do it on JavaScript, is using like the star right here, and then like this, right? So this is like 2 times 4. Besides that one, like others, they work perfectly fine. Now, and of course, there you go, 1 minus 1 and 1 plus 1, which is 2. Right? So the only one that is a little bit different, and it's not different because you use this in a lot of places. It's not, I'm just comparing this with when you write it on paper, okay? Not on a writer paper, I'm sorry, on a lot of programming language. You use this star to represent multiplication. So now variables. So the variables, we used this before. I mean, not in this class, but if you have no idea about it yet, it's okay. But I guarantee you that when you're talking about programming language, it's all about how you manipulate the data, and using variables is one way to manipulate the data, and you will see why. So let's start with this. So thinking about variables, like it's a little box where you can fit on 10 ends, okay? And you will see that in a minute. So how do we create one? We use the keyword bar, and then we just add the name of the variable. For example, I'm gonna use fname for first name, and then here, boof, I just create one variable called fname. I can also say bar and use L name, and then just boom, I just create another variable right here. However, I can also say fname and just call enter, and I still getting undefined. The reason we start getting undefined when we create this thing is because we have not given them a value yet. So every little thing that you create, it doesn't have a value. JavaScript be like, okay, this is undefined, just because you are not getting any value back. And when I say no value, I'm saying, like, for example, if you have 1 plus 1, you get 2, which is a value of 2. Okay? If you do 2 times 2, you get 4, which is another value of 4, or of the enter, whatever I put right there. So in this case here, you're still not getting anything back. So we're gonna use bar only when we want to create a variable, not when we want to change the value of the variable. All right, okay? For example, let me just go back. If I say bar fname is equal to, I just gonna put my name there, which is Ariel. Okay, still undefined. I understand that, because then again, we're not getting any value. I'm just saying this is equal to this. You see that? So it's not like the same thing as say 1 plus 1. What do I get back? Oh, you get back 2. So that's a value. And I'm here and I say now f name and I'm calling my variable. As you can see, I don't need to type this here just to say this. But now, what I'm trying to say here on using the bar, the keyword bar, when you create a variable, and now when you change the value of the variable, I mean that you can also come here and say, you know, hey, f name become equals to, I don't know who say, I'm saying John, I guess. And then I say this, and then I put this f name, and now the variable name is John instead of Ariel. You see that? I didn't have to do like, okay, now I want to change that, so let me just put bar f name is equal to John. So this is what I mean by that. When I say only use bar when you want to create, but not when you want to change the value of a variable. So naming variables. The only problem that people have all the time, and remember, I told you guys when we were doing HTML, and I'm gonna do that again, you do this, like this, you get the P tag, and then you just do this, and not even that, you can just leave it like this. And you run your website. Of course, this is not gonna work because this is not for HTML, but you run your website and boof, you can see what you try to do here. You see that? So that's when the problem come in here in this part. That is not, the thing is that you get something back when you do this in HTML. However, you get an error when you're trying to have, like, when you have a mistake on your code or misspelling or you're missing something, you will definitely get an error back. And naming variable means also that if you name this variable, I will say hello world, okay? And I say is equal to, let's see, my word, I guess. And I will say this, but then I'm trying to call hello, just word like this, and I get this. Wait a minute, I think I got this like this. There you go. Do you see that? So here I had capital W, and here I had lowercase w. So that's a problem right there. And because you will see the same theme, do you see this? Like, hey, hello world is not defined. And you in your mind, you'll be like, okay, but what is this? Why it's not defined? Why it's not there? What's going on? And that's a common mistake that people always do. Like then they think that they wrote the correct variable name, which it is the correct variable name. However, JavaScript be like, okay, it is not, because here you're using capital W right there, but here you're using lowercase. See that? Hello world, and there you go. So you gotta be careful with that, okay? If it's something, you need to pay attention to your code. You need to make sure that whatever you're trying to create, you keep using the same theme, So the thing is that what we're trying to do, and again, this is not a rule that you have to follow, but a good way to make sure that, that you create the correct name. And again, not the correct name, but the correct spelling is by using all the time creating variables. We're starting with the lowercase. For example, my, which is lowercase m, and I can type my variable like this. But if I want to add something else, for example, my variable, oh, you know what? Let me just put my red variable. So my red variable, right, this, okay, is equal to red. There you go. So you know that the first one is lowercase, then the second word is like capital R, and then the third word is like basically also, let's start with a cap. All right. And of course, if you're trying to do something big, just like this, and my blue, and by the way, I didn't put it blue. There you go. And let me just put this a little bit up. Give me 1 second. There you go. Much better. So it's equal to red and blue. There you go. So look at this variable name right here. Of course, if you start typing, you know, like if you don't follow this rule, let's say, for example, you can make a few mistakes. For example, you can just say, all right, so let me start with my red variable, but at the end, you can put a lowercase, and what's going to happen is that definitely you're going to start having an error because right now it's not the same, okay? You do see the value here, but it's because it's saying, hey, if you use this variable, this is the value right here. Do you see that? This value right here, the red and blue, is not coming from this right now. It's just like a suggestion. It's just like, okay, hey, if you add this right here, you're gonna get this. All right. So if I double click, there you go. So I will definitely get that. But because I'm using that, but I was like trying to get up to make a mistake on that one. That's why you need to make sure that you name those variables like this, like, you know, follow the rules so you can know when it's correct and when it's not correct. So the second thing is new variable used in math. Let me just clean this again. So if you have a variable that is called seconds in minutes, in a minute, sorry. And let me put the minute is equal to 60. And of course, I say bar minutes in an hour is also equal to 60. I have two variables, which is the both variable have number stored in each variable. Okay, this one has 60. This one has 60 as well. If I just come here and create a new variable that is called bar seconds in an hour, right? Got minutes. Yep, seconds in an hour is equal to the result between this and this. Okay, so if I do this times minutes in an hour, see that? I will get, hold on, let me just make sure, second, minutes in an hour, second in an hour. Yeah, there you go. So I stored the value inside this, and again, I was expecting no value, but I didn't do anything. So I stored the value of the multiplication between this and this inside this variable. Okay. So let me just make sure that I have it correct. Seconds in a minute, minutes in an hour, and then I got seconds in an hour. Okay. And this is my new variable. So if I come here and I say, hey, second in an hour, poof, that's my value right there. You see that? So, but what I'm trying to show you here is that you can store numbers and then you can play with those numbers later, and you can add the result of those two numbers inside one variable. That's the whole point here. All right. And again, let me just, let me see, should I do another sample? If you say yes, then I will do it. All right. So, and again, if I say, let's see, should I say apple? Yeah, let's do it in apple. So bar apple and is equal to 3. You know, and bar orange is equal to 5. So what I'm trying to say is, hey, I have 3 apples and I have 3 oranges right here, okay? And I'm trying to create a new variable that is called fruits. Now it will tell me how many fruit do I have. Doesn't matter if apple, pear, whatever. I'm just want to know how many fruits I have. And there you go. So right now I do this and I call my fruit variable and I say, how many fruit do I have? And there you go. I got 8 fruits right here. Okay. And of course, this can have an S here. It could be no S. It could be plural, single, whatever you want to do. But again, this is the whole idea. That, after creating those 2 variables, I just can have a combination of those variables. Could do anything whatever I want because they are numbers. And yes, we're gonna do something with the string later about this, but because they are numbers only, then you can have a value back. All right. So let's go to the next one. Incrementing and decrementing variables number. Let me just clean this one up. So now we have high fives right here. Then you want to count how many high fives you get per day. And you want to use a variable to increment that number every time someone high fives you, So let's go ahead and do that. So I have my high five is equal to 0, and of course I can use the plus plus high five here, okay? And guess what? Now the value is 1. If I do that again, the value is 2. If I do that again, the value is 3. Now, if I come here and say minus minus, high fives, guess what? The value is 2 because now I want to decrease the number. Okay, so you might be like, okay, so why do I need this for? Well, you're creating a video game, you create something, you want to keep track of something. That's how you do it, right? If you want to keep track of how many people click here, how many people do this, how many people do that on your website. If you want to keep track of something using JavaScript, this is one way to do it. Or if you're also running a for loop, we're going to talk about that later, but if you're running a for loop and you want to increment the number and then make something happen until this happen, okay? Because remember, the programming language is all manipulating data. So you tell the computer what to do, exactly how to do it. So if you want something to happen up to this point and you feel like, okay, I want something to happen up to this number, get up to this number, you see that? Or up to this variable get up to 5, or up to, onto this variable get up to 10, then that's how you start manipulating things out. You would do this every time something happens, so you keep track of your own code. You keep track of your own thing. It's like keeping some record, and then you do what you're supposed to do when you get exactly what you want. And again, I know you feel like, oh my God, what is going on here? But again, it's up to you. It all depends on the program. It all depends on your client. It all depends on what project you're trying to do. So, but one thing that I can guarantee you is that you're going to be using variables all the time. All right? So, plus equal and minus equal. Let me just clear this thing out. And of course, if we have something that is called bar score, which is equal to 10, and I want that score, let me see if I find like a really cool example. All right, so let me see if I say, you know what? Let me just go back and let me just do it the simple way. And if I say x is equal to 10, and again, I'm gonna use bar just so guys can get used to it. Bar x is equal to 10. But then you want to add 5 to this x right here. All right, so then you say, well, then x is equal to what? To x plus 5. But why? Because you thinking, hey, if the x here is equal to 10, then I can use my x everywhere, because it has a value of 10. You see that? But I want to make sure to add 5 to this variable right here. You get that? So you do that and you add it to a variable, but you don't really need a new variable to change the value of this x. You can just assign this value to the same x, which is right here. And then you do this, and then you get back another number, which is 15. And now if you use x, the value of x is 15, right? So the plus equal sign literally is doing the same thing, but in less code. For example, if I have my x here, all right, and you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and put my x equal to 10, okay, plus, not plus, but minus 5, right? So now I have x equal to 10. And what about if I say, all right, so I want to add 5 to my x. Instead of doing that way, the way that I did it right here, I just can say, you know what, x plus equal 5. And there you go. So now I have x, which is the value of 15 right here. See that? So that's why we like using the plus and equal sign right here. Let's see the minus. So same thing. X minus equal, the minus equal, let's say 5 to bring them down to 10, right? Yeah, because it's 15, I want to bring them down to 10. There you go. So now I call x again, and I get 10. See that? Because I subtract the 5. And again, I know I say this a lot, but it's up to you. You're not doing anything wrong if you are using this or you are using this, but it's there just in case. And remember, guys, another reason that you guys need to know this is not only because you need to write a code, using doing it this way or this way. You need to be available to read other people's code. That's the whole point of programming. It's not only like the way you do it, but also you need to learn how to read some code. So when you get a job or you create your own company, you can understand what other person tried to do. Or if you're covering someone else because that person have an emergency or something and you need to change something on someone else's code, then you see this, you should not feel like, okay, what this person tried to do here. You see that? So this is why it's always good to learn both ways. Okay. Here I have a string, but I think I'm gonna leave this for another video because I believe that you have a lot so far. So let me just finish this lesson here, and then we're gonna talk about the string. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing that we do with numbers, but using strings. Okay, I will see you in the next lesson.